Welcome to the Theory of DFS podcast. I'm Jordan Cooper, the co-author of The Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass at theoryofdfs.com, joined as mostly, Erik Beimfohr. You had to skip out last week. You had stuff to do. It's interesting you skip out on the week that I actually did well.
That's my plan. I don't want to hear the times that you're having success. Nobody wants to hear the other. I'm kidding, obviously. No, I haven't had a chance. We were talking before the show. I haven't had a chance to go back and listen to you and Josh's conversation or listen to how you did last week. So,
It's
but
not like I
I'm
won a
planning.
GPP or anything. I just
Yeah,
thought, I made a good amount of money. Okay, I made some money. Well, good thing
yeah.
because I lost 30% this past Sunday.
Yeah, it was really bad for me. I don't even want to talk about Sunday. It's a good thing. I was thinking about this. It's a good thing, I guess people are doing the what are you thankful for and stuff, that we have like all these sports going on and we have the Thanksgiving slate coming up and like we have all this different stuff because, we've talked a little bit about, we were framing it more from a like, should we play cash games or just tournaments or, how are you dealing with the swings and blah, blah, blah. But like having like a awful, my Sunday was horrible as well this week. But to just be able to move on is like, do you want to play NBA on Sunday night and just be done with it, or do you move on to the next day? Like we've talked about in the past, I like to play the college sports. I know you like soccer and MMA, and like having all of this shit available to us is like has been like awesome. Like when I have a bad Sunday, like I really don't even care. And it actually helped some of the conversation that we had where you kind of framed it in like, why are we treating an NFL Sunday different? In NBA, you lose and you move on to the next day and you don't really care. And I've kind of started to frame those NFL Sundays a little bit more like that. It's like, look, it's just one slate amongst thousands or whatever that I'm going to play across different sports, across all of DFS in a year. So like, you lose and you move on to the next slate or the next day or whatever. And when you win, you celebrate it and you're happy, but then you still move on to the next day and probably lose. But there was something that we talked about in the past that I wanted to bring up because like I feel like it has helped me actually. Just like my frame of mind and being a better player. Just kind of treating, like we talked about players or chess pieces. It's kind of, every slate is just like a bullet in the chamber.
Right. Well, it's one long game, just like in poker. Every hand it's just one long game. You have a bad session, you have a bad 8 hour session. Well, just 8 hours out of the 10,000 you'll play. Just like it's yes, in this short time period, sure. And as long as you have proper bankroll management and you're a positive expected value player, then all you want to do is increase the sample size. All you that just get on, played showdown last night. Played 16 lineups, didn't cash a single one because Daniel Jones couldn't, have a
Awful. So
horrible
bad.
Giants offense. But it's like, would I have changed my decisions? No. So what am I supposed to do? But I'm
Yep.
I'm I'm thankful. Like maybe this is the thankful episode, a short Thanksgiving type of thing. No, especially with COVID last year. Like I'm thankful that like it's weird to say for most people how they treat their DFS play. Like if you're especially if you're watching or listening to this show, like I it's a hard thing to agree with because it sounds counterproductive. Our goal is to have the largest sample size possible, right? If we have an edge, we want to play as many slates and we want to increase our likelihood because in a short period of time you can win or lose a lot, but over a long
Yep.
period of time, that's where you show your profit. But you don't have to play every slate. Like it's once you went like people find it odd. Like Erik, the past 2 weeks I have not played NBA DFS. I've not played a slate whatsoever. Right?
Hmm.
I've looked at the projection. I do a show on Mondays. I do the pregame
Yeah.
show. Obviously, the reason why I haven't played NBA DFS in the past 2 weeks. There's two reasons. Okay, two reasons. One, it's fucking exhausting.
Yes.
It
Yes,
is
it is.
literally. It is so like last night. Fucking Seth Curry gets scratched also. I mean, what the? Can we stop with this? But this is what NBA DFS is. The problem is that the biggest edge in NBA DFS is that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to play that way, you might as well not play, right? So that's why I think it's like, NFL's going on, soccer, I got MMA, I got, the first 2 years of me playing DFS, I just played soccer. And back then, we didn't even have Europa League or Interleague slates. Yeah. We had some MLS, and the slate sizes were small. Like, first place was like $5,000 in the big GPP for soccer. But it used to be, my first year playing, it's like, okay, Saturday is Premier League in the morning. Then there's an MLS slate in the afternoon and the night. Sunday morning, there's like a 2-game EPL slate, small. And then there wouldn't be anything on Monday. There'd be nothing on Tuesday. There'd be maybe a 3-game MLS slate on Wednesday. So, like, I was used to playing maybe 1 to 3 times a week, right? And it's like, well, I don't play NBA. I don't watch any of these other sports. So, like, I'm not going to play them, right? I have a small discretionary income, and I'm playing whatever. I'm playing $40 a slate with $400 in my account, and I know soccer. And I'm going to try to get as good as soccer DFS as I possibly can. So, like, I'm thankful that there are MLS slates. So I'm not just playing EPL on Saturdays. And then they added Champions League. So that was Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But it's not every Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It's like every other, when Champions League play is in session. So, wow, Tuesday afternoon I get a slate. Wednesday afternoon I get a slate. And I'm just playing soccer. Now, now 4 years go by, I'm playing MLB, I'm playing NBA, I'm playing NFL. The people are asking, why aren't you playing the 3-game interleague slate on Friday? And like, I don't have to play all the slates. I would love to, yes. I would love to be able to play all the slates. But I don't believe I could be plus EV playing all of it. Right? So I missed some slates. Now, if my goal was to maximize my profit to the nth degree, I would make time to play literally every slate. I would play all the turbo slates, play all the showdown slates. I would develop processes so I could automate like 98% of what I do. And if my goal was to make millions upon millions of dollars, the possibility of that happening not being that high, right? Yeah. You still have to be the best in order to do it like that. So if I'm optimizing for $50,000 to $75,000 a year, do I have to play every slate? No. I'd rather play the slates that I play well, right? Sometimes I play the afternoon slate in NFL. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I play Showdown on Mondays. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I play Champions League soccer. We're going to be we're recording this, and the Champions League lineups will come out in the middle of this recording. So you know what I decided? That I'm not going to play. I'm just not going to play. So I don't even have to think about it. Yeah. People are going to play. People are going to win. People are going to lose. And it doesn't matter to me. I'm not, like, that fear of missing out is gone. So, like, once that fear of missing out on, like, well, this could be the slate where you win $10,000 in soccer, like, I don't think in those terms. I just think of, I just try to play the slates that I play the best that I can. And it is what it is. And I'm thankful that I'm able to do that I do shows like this, do the Roto-Grinder stuff. And that I don't need to grind out every conceivable possible edge to meet my particular goal, my formula of $50,000 to $75,000 a year. Yep. But you could tell from a lot of serious DFS players. Now, trying to grind out every possible slate and everything like that is commendable. I mean, I'm not saying that's wrong. This is not a right or wrong type of question. But there are probably plenty of people listening to this podcast that feel as if, like, this is not what they do for a living. They have another job. They may do this seriously. They may spend a lot of time on this, and they may be profitable players. But they feel as if, like, well, maybe I have to play the Thanksgiving slate and all 3 Thanksgiving showdowns, right? Yeah. And even though I'm going to be at Thanksgiving dinner, there's such an edge because so many casual players play on Thanksgiving. That's like, oh, I got to play 150 lineups now. I got to bring my laptop to my mother-in-law's house so I can, like, my attitude is, do you know what I'm doing on this Thanksgiving? I think I'm playing a cash lineup in head-to-heads on DraftKings, not even on FanDuel. and I'm just enjoying as much as I can, uh, spending time with my wife's family on Thanksgiving, and then I don't have to
Yep.
worry about. And if I'm not missing out on anything, I'm just like maybe I play $500 to $1,000 worth of volume in one cash lineup, and that's it. And not 10,000. Oh, I gotta play. I gotta play every No, you don't have to play every contest. But you know why I could do that? Because there's Saturday soccer, there's Sunday NFL, there's
Yep.
NBA next week, there's golf, there's like sports don't just disappear. I mean, like the poker table, there'll always be a game, right? So if I miss this game, oh, there's an action player there. John the plumber's there and he's dumping money. It's like, is John going to be there another 2 days this week? Yeah. So why do I have to show up today? I mean, like, is he going
Right.
broke today? Is it like, no, I don't need to. Don't you think that, although it sounds counterproductive of like, as sharp plays, you want to increase your sample size as much as possible, but I don't feel the fear of, like, I didn't play NBA DFS for 2 weeks. Who knows? Maybe if I played, I would have picked $100,000. Do you think that a lot of people think in those terms
Yes.
and don't think in like, well, if I'm not playing, the same thing when people say like, when I won the slant, I would have came in second in the Millie Maker for 150,000. Aren't you pissed off? Aren't you upset that you didn't play all those lineups in the Millie Maker? I go, no, because I wasn't playing the Millie Maker. Like, I don't have any fear of missing out that, oh, my lineup's going to be the $1 million winner, so I got to play them all in the millie. No, I don't play it. Oh, the lineup that came in fourth place in the whatever contest in NBA would have won the 7-7 set. Like, well, but I don't play that contest.
Yep.
I don't fear missing out on that. Or I would fear missing out if I normally played that contest and then on that day decided to not play that. Like, then maybe, even then, but even then, that's like I wasn't playing that contest. Oh, don't you have a fear of like, because since I play all unique lineups and GPPs, sometimes the lineup I play in the
Yep.
$33 contest would have won $100,000 in the $200 contest, and I was just playing them randomly, 20 lineups into whatever it fit into, and oh, but you won this GPP for 10,000, but if that lineup was in the other contest, you would have won 50,000, and it only came down to essentially your rand function in Excel. Aren't you
Yep.
upset at that? I go, no. What would Sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. That 100,000 NBA win that I had. Well, maybe I play like that also. That could have been in the smaller space, the 20 max, and I would have only won $15,000 in that. It just so
Yep.
happened it was in that lineup was in the bigger con. Those are things I can't control.
Right.
I'm going to play that strategy that way every slate, and I'm just looking to bink. My attitude when it comes to that is, I played 20 lineups in NFL this past weekend. I want to win one of them, right? If I win one of the spies, one of the power sweeps, one of the $75, the red zone $50, the three entries into the wildcat, like I just want to win one of them, right? If the one that I win is only $10,000, great. So I only had an 8x on the day, right? Instead of a 100x on the day. But I mean,
Yeah.
I can't control where the lineups go. I'm building for all the same contests at the same time. So I have no fear of missing that out. But you nodded your head before. Don't you feel? I'm not saying that like I said, this is not a right or wrong answer. But don't you feel that a lot of people base their play on what slates they play, what contests they play, and even if they're gonna play, on that fear of missing out mentality.
I totally do, and I think that that's a skill maybe that we talk a lot about these more soft skill type things over the course of all these episodes, and I think that that is one that a lot of people probably really struggle with, and I think it's funny because you hear that all the time, right? The exact example that you said. Aren't you upset that the contest you put in the $50 single entry would have won the Wildcat and you missed out on, right? Like you said, $100,000. Like, well, I guess sure, but like you said, there are things that I can control and there are things that I cannot control. And also part of that is like you have a bankroll and you're playing within a certain strategy, because like we don't have infinite funds, we don't have infinite time, we don't have infinite all of these things. And so you have set aside a strategy that you believe works best for you, and you are like a playing by those rules of that strategy, right? And so as long as you're comfortable with the strategy that you have laid out, that's just part of the game. Sometimes, like you said, sometimes you're going to run hot on that. Sometimes you get your best team in the contest that ends up having the highest upside, and it works. It's also possible the reverse could be true. You could have played that best team in the Wildcat and they would have got ninth, right? Because it's a bigger contest than something,
Right, you would have
making up
lost. You would have lost money.
exist.
Sometimes it works in reverse. That good thing that was in the double spy and not in the wildcat. Because in the double spy, I made 20,000, and in the wildcat, it would have only made 7,000, right? And come in 12th
Exactly.
play, right? And it's like, oh, like even though it was the best like lineup or whatever, it actually made more money, right? Just like when people bet, I'm going to play 20 lineups into the large GPP, $15 whatever, an NBA DFS, and it's like. My best lineup came in 12th. Oh, I'm almost there. It's like, dude, if you played that lineup into a smaller field contest,
You'd have
instead of
won by a
winning
million.
$1,000, you would have won same entry fee, smaller
Yeah.
contest, right? Maybe, and you would have actually won more money because you would have came in second, and the payout structure goes all the way up like that. So, but these are things that if you're building lineups for the contest that you're playing, those are the things you cannot control that.
Yeah.
So
And so that
if you can't
skill,
control it, then what's the point in being either upset or not? Like that general like there's no fear to me. There's no fear of missing out.
yeah. But I think that the people see like, and the ecosystem has been built up in such a way that it is very easy for like the human mind to be distracted, right? Every freaking DraftKings contest has whatever 100K to first, right? Exclamation point. Like they're pointing out, like, look at all this money you can win. And then you go on Twitter or you go in Discord or you go in Slack or whatever, and there's all these people posting their big wins. You see screenshots everywhere, and you go to your favorite tout site, and they got an ad or a banner or whatever that is like, so and so just won X amount of money. Come see how he did it, and like all that is fine. It's not like shade on any of that, but the ecosystem has been built in such a way that it's like the person is just so distracted by, look at all this money I can win, and if I am missing the opportunity to win that money by going back to what we were talking about first, by passing on this slate, right? This would have been my day. I've gone through this before. I talked about the skill thing. I think this is a skill that I have developed over a long period of time. I did not always have this. I did the thing of, okay, I'm playing 3 lineups. They got to all be in the same contest. They gotta be for the exact same dollar amounts, right? I got to do all that because I don't want to. I had the fear of, okay, what happens if this team is the good one and this team is the bad one? Blah blah blah. I did the thing where it's like, look, I'm now making money at this. I can't sit this Tuesday NBA slate out, right? Like I'm not gonna play NBA tonight. Like literally as we're recording this, I'm not playing. It's a shitty slate. I'm not interested. There's a lot of other fun stuff going on. It's an amazing week for college basketball. We got prepped for Thanksgiving. It's a fun week with plenty of other stuff that I can dabble in if I want to. So I'm going to sit the NBA slate up. Could this have been the one where I would have won the whatever contest that I was playing? Maybe, I guess. But it treating each one like you said, like the poker game, it's always there. If you were going to win, if you were supposed to win, if you are talented enough and skillful enough to win, it's gonna happen. The whole which day is it gonna happen on? Was today the day? It's just you playing the mental gymnastics in your head to because of that fear, and that fear exists in multiple different ways, right? Like was this the slate? Was this lineup in the right contest? All that kind. Did I play you definitely get I get this all the time. This is actually low key, totally side tangent. Why I don't post a ton of screenshots for like when I win, because I'm playing these higher dollar, smaller field contests, and so the raw score that I will post, half the replies are damn, I should have played that. Why didn't I play that contest? I outscored that by 15 points, you know? And it's like, it's just so, it's so like exhausting to, because obviously it's an ignorant reply, but like that's how so many people think, right?
Right.
And
Well,
it's
the
this,
same reason, Eric, why sometimes, I mean, I post my big wins because why not? I
I'll
don't,
post the real big ones, you know, but I have, I feel like I have a little bit higher bar than what I see a lot on Twitter. I don't know if that even that's true, but I try not to post, like you said, you know, win the slants or whatever, you know, won the NBA tournament not that long ago, won the live final seed. Those are like milestones and big wins for me, and so I'm more than happy to post those. But
but
you're
you,
in
but
this,
you get the
you're in this
score, you
space.
get the score replies. You know what I get? How many lineups did
How
you
many
play?
teams?
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? The 150 lineups. Why aren't you posting screenshots every like that? But that's the same type of ignorant reply
Same
of
thing. Yeah.
yeah, playing 150 person contest, a 200 person contest for $4,000 entry fee or something like that. Like it's the raw number of it's actually you're overcompensating on the raw number of dollars. It's like
Yes.
when I see that, I played a $1,500 entry contest and I got 50,000 dollars. It's like, well, that's like what? That's 15x or whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
9, but 10x or something. It's
Hmm.
like, well, that's the same. If you played a $5 contest with the same entry fee and the same payout structure, it's the same thing. Other than the strength of the field is weaker,
Right.
but not dramatically, not so dramatically that whatever. But people focus on that raw number. They go, "Oh, you won $100,000." It's like, yeah, well, you won because you see the screenshots of, oh, person won $223,000 on $108,000 worth of volume, and it's like, I nice job, dude. But I mean, you're playing against the sharpest people. Yes, you're correct, but it's still a small fee. I mean, if someone posted a screenshot of I played $12 and I turned that into $26, like it's to me it's the same screenshot. It's the
Yeah.
right, but I mean it's not about the screenshots. It's about like you said, uh, what like people want what day are they going to win,
Yeah.
right? Like I understand that it's that I that not to be controversial or whatever. Uh, it's
You? No.
me. It's much easier to not care about that stuff when you're an atheist, right? There's no fate. There's no
That
destiny.
is
There's no nothing. I
that
mean,
is true.
right? It's very easy to understand just the concept of variance by
Yeah.
if you believe that the universe is random and we're here, there's no meaning to life. Like, you don't fall into those superstitious type of things. Like, well, I got to play the same contest every day because I don't know which day I'm going to win, but it could be
Yep.
today. It's like, well, what happens if I told you that you're going to play over your DFS career 100 NBA DFS, 1,000 NBA DFS slates? Like, let's say you're going to play. I just give you a finite number, 1,000.
Hmm.
You have any amount of time to fill up that 1,000. DFS is
Yeah.
going to
So why
exist, right? Does it have to be the
today
next
doesn't matter.
1,000? Does it matter
Yeah.
which 1,000 it is? No, it doesn't matter which 1,000 it is.
Hmm.
Are you able to tell which day you're going to win? If your answer is no, that means fill up that 1,000 by any amount you want. Now, sharper players would say, well, what happens if I have the option of having a 5,000 sample size? Well, that would be better than 1,000.
Yep.
But the trade-off is that you're exhausting yourself playing every turbo slate and not like, which is fun. If your formula is to maximize profit at all costs, that would be optimal. But if that's not your formula, if there's some number there that you're looking to hit or something like that, like then feel free to fill up that 1,000, fill up whatever. Skip a week NFL. Oh my God, an NFL Sunday. Imagine skipping a main slate of NFL Sunday. But there's only 18 of them. There's also only 150 MLB slates. There's only 150 NBA. There's only 48 MMA slates. I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing. Now, I'm not doing this to scold people because I mean, I think the mentality. I If you have it, you have it. I'm just we're talking about things that we're thankful for, right?
Yep.
I'm thankful for the fact that there's enough content. Like there's enough sites. There's enough
Yeah.
like because where do you because Eric, where do you stop? Because imagine you're like, okay, I'm gonna play every sport on DraftKings, every slate, because I can. And I'm sharp, I have an edge, and I want to maximize my profit at the most potential. So why aren't you playing all the contests on FanDuel? Why aren't you playing all the contests on Yahoo? Why aren't you playing all the contests in Super Draft? Why aren't you playing Prize Picks? Why aren't you playing Monkey Knife Fight? Why aren't you why aren't you betting on props? Right?
Yep.
You could be betting on props. Why aren't you betting on sides and totals? Why aren't you betting on this sports book? Why aren't you betting on these 34 sports books? Like
Yep.
this thing goes so far that at what point are you either not effective in doing all of this at the same time, or two, you 30 years go by, you have $100 million in your bank account or your crypto wallet or whatever, because people are going to be like, bank account, savings account, that's for suckers. I just wanted to throw that in there. You have $100 million and you're 70 years old and go, what happened to my life? Right? You're
That's like
just
a legitimate fear for me, is like, as we're having this conversation, I'm like, that is like why I do a lot of the things that I do. Like, I think about that now, like probably even like not that long ago, like I'm 33 years old. Like I'm not like fearful of, oh my God, my life's almost over. But like to me, it was Levitan, right? That said it was, kind of a stupid thing, but on his solo pod, he was like, I used to have a notification like every morning or whatever that was like basically a reminder that you can die, like you're gonna die, and it can happen at any time or whatever. And so like I'm not taking it that far, but it's like especially, and as you get older, again, I'm not saying that I'm old or whatever, but as you become more of an adult and all that kind of stuff, and like money isn't something, I'm not like sweating paying my bills or whatever. So like I do want to like look back and be like, okay, dude, you were only in your 30s once, you were only in your 20s once, whatever. Did you sit at your computer all day every day and like grind Prize Picks? Like, are you gonna tell your grandchildren about like, oh yeah, I hit that sweet power play on Prize Picks, when I was 33 years old, I 5x'd my $100. Like, no, like if you're skillful at this or want to be skillful at this, right, and want to make money at this, like there is some form of a balance. And like you said, for everyone that's different, right? For like some of these guys in DFS, they can do all of this. And that's also what they want to do. Maybe it's what they enjoy. They've optimized their life and their process and everything around this. For me, and I feel like I'm more like I do treat this like closer to like a profession. It's affecting, it's definitely more of a hobby for me, but I treat it closer to a profession than like the normal person does, I guess. But I lean more towards like the casual player in terms of like how I think about things. I I can't do everything. It's my job to think about this stuff, to think about like I literally get paid to talk about DFS, to do DFS work, right? Obviously the best ball stuff too and all that. Like it's literally what I get paid to do, and I don't have the time or the mental wherewithal to like do all of this. And so you just have to take slates off, and I have to. I don't say you have to. I have to take slates off. I have to. I literally, I no one understands more about like odds shopping and stuff like that. Like you mentioned the different sports books and stuff, but like I can't physically, when I go like throughout my entire day, like I reach a certain point where I'm like, oh, that I've discovered a new. However you stumble across this, right? I've discovered a new plus EV bet or whatever that I'm gonna make. You reach a certain point where I'm just like, just fucking open up DraftKings and go to like, if I have to lay 3 cents more of juice, like, sorry, gambling gods, I know that I'm gonna get scorned for not finding the exact right odds, or yeah, oh, I didn't get, I didn't max that bet, or there's just so many things that it's like, as long as you are, kind of achieving your goals, right? Going back to the very beginning again, like everybody has a formula, everybody has, a strategy that they've laid out to achieve that formula, blah, blah, blah. And like, as long as I'm getting there, like I can't do it all, and I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it all, right? I legitimately enjoy, I talk about it probably too much, these college sports in DFS. You cannot make a lot of money at at these things, and like the whales and stuff would probably laugh at me. They're like, "Why are you spending all this time? Like the most you can make is like 5 to 10 grand and on one of these slates." It's like, because I actually enjoy this. I'm not mentally exhausted by the time I'm done with this. Like you said, like NBA, it's like I'm getting ready for bed, and it's like, oh shit, Seth Curry's out. Now what? Now what does that mean? And like, and I'm only playing one team or something. And so there's just a combination of all of these things that is like, I think it goes back to the control. You mentioned like control. I want to control what I can control, and controlling the things that matter to me and that impact my like life. And like you said, when I look back, like, am I gonna look back at 70 years old, even if I'm rich as fuck, and be happy about what I did, or be like, man, you didn't even like really live a good life. You sat at your computer all day and like grinded out edges or whatever. Like, how much money is too much money? How much money makes you happy? All those different things. I think, I'm controlling what I want to control in a way that makes me happy, and then and then the shit that I can't control, right? Like you said, like just it's gone. It's not even. I'm not even thinking about it because I can't control it.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why I stopped playing poker for a living. I mean, I was playing poker from when I was 23 to 28. I ran a room in New York City. I, played a lot of underground games. I played online also, but it got to the point, like, I was also doing stand-up comedy. I mean, I was doing stand-up comedy when I was 17, doing web development, then playing poker, and stand-up, like, to me, like, after about it, my stand-up comedy went down because I was playing poker all the time. And I loved, and I loved playing poker. I was like, okay, and I'm good at poker. And I got my own apartment. I was able to move out. I mean, in New York City, it's expensive. So moving out of my parents' place and getting an apartment, and like, okay, I'm moving on up. But like by the time I was like 27, 28 years old, like 4 or 5 years into playing poker for a living, it's like, well, I haven't written any new material in a year. Like I haven't gone out and I look at it and I go, what am I, what, if I was 70 years old now, if I had to choose between poker or stand-up comedy, which one would I have rather spent more of my time doing? It would be stand-up comedy, even though it pays the least, even though it's the crappier one. Even though it's like, oh yeah, you got to go out to Greensboro, North Carolina, drive 10 hours and get paid $400. Like that would be more fulfilling. I'd rather work on that, even though poker I could make a living. I could hit my formula, right? Maybe not win the World Series of poker, not make millions of dollars, but could I make $50,000 to $75,000 a year playing poker? Yes. But at some point, you're just sitting in a smoky room of beer farts with but making money off of degenerate gamblers that are dropping their rent money. And it's like, you look at that even at 28 years old and go, is this what the rest of my life is going to be? I mean, like,
right.
Like, yes, I'm paying it's accomplishing what my goal is, to never have a real job. Yes, okay. I got there. But is this what I want to do? So I started doing stand-up more, and I did it more often that I'm like, I was doing the road work more than in New York City, and I enjoyed it. I'm like, I enjoyed going out to Fort Wayne, Indiana. I enjoyed going out to Detroit or the suburbs and going to this club and that club. You're getting paid $400 or $500 a weekend or something like that, which ain't that much.
Right.
But still, hey, it's still the top 0.1% of all stand-up comics. But 99.9% of people that try stand-up comedy will never get paid for a gig. So some people call me a failed comedian, but I'm not. I'm not a well-paid. Yeah, when I was doing it full-time, I'm making $22,000 a year through all the gigs. But you ask anyone at an open mic doing stand-up comedy if they could get paid $22,000 a year to do this, they'd sign up for it in an instant.
Yeah.
But I was doing that more, so like all these clubs in the Midwest and the South and everything like that. That's why I moved to Louisville. I mean, that's essentially, and I chose Louisville because it's centrally located. So I could get to Chicago in 5 hours. I could get to St. Louis. I could get to Nashville. I could get to Indianapolis. Like there's a lot of, down to Atlanta in 7 hours. Like it's very centrally located. I visited Louisville twice when I was in my band when I was younger, so we toured through Louisville. So I knew it was like an artsy, it was like the Austin of Kentucky. So I wanted to go to a progressive city, right? I could have chosen Indianapolis, I could have chosen Cincinnati, but I remember Louisville was like, oh, this like artsy, like it felt like that, and also it was cheap. I mean, cheap apartments, and across the river was Caesars, Indiana, right? Now it's the Horseshoe, now it's
Yep.
whatever it's called, and they have a 37 table poker room. So it's like, well, I could rent this cheap. I could still play poker, right? But they also have a
Hmm.
comedy club, and I could do all my gigs, and that to me, I get the best of both worlds. I'm doing web
Yeah.
development work where I could do that anywhere. I'm doing it
Right.
remotely, so it's like so to change my maximum EV thing would have been to stay in New York and play those underground games and make 5,000, 6,000 a month or whatever doing that, and that would have been it.
Hmm.
But then what am I? Then I'm 40 years old, going what am I doing? Right. So like okay, so now poker is not my living. Now stand up comedy is my living, but poker is a little supplemental thing, right?
Yeah.
And you go from there, and then that turns into now I have other projects. I did a video game site, and I'm just doing things that to me make me feel more fulfilling. And
Yeah.
DFS is fulfilling, but the main reason I do content is because to me that's the stand-up comedy version of what I'm doing. Like if it wasn't for me doing content, like DFS would completely burn me. I would have gotten to this at this point 6 years in. I would get to the same point that I did in poker, saying I'm 42 years old. I'm not fucking around on Twitter, right? Like I'm not on Roto. No one knows who I am. They know my username maybe because they've seen my name,
Yeah.
type of thing. And it's like how am I being fulfilled? Like other than I'm sitting in front of my computer all night doing NBA changes and stuff like that and paying the bills and whatever. And I'm not going anywhere because I'm grinding every slate, right? In the morning,
Yep.
CG, she had the esports and golf and whatever. And like, I have to plan my vacations around NFL Sundays, and I have to plan anything like I got it. Like, at what point do you live your life?
Yep. That
So
is, it's so funny. It is so funny that we're talking about this because I've been thinking about this um, a little bit more. And the other thing is, people will ask about the content type stuff, and it's like, again, you get the ignorant like Twitter replies or whatever, like, well, why, if you're a winning player, why are you doing content, right? And we've kind of talked about this already in the past, so we don't like need to rehash it. But it was funny that, you've kind of brought up like, oh, when I'm 70, right? Or if I wasn't doing content and I was truly grinding all these slates and grinding for maximum ROI and maximum profit, maximum income. Like I don't know how, I don't know where I would be. I don't know how my mental state would be. And I also like when I'm 70, there's no chance in hell I'm gonna want to be grinding. You know what I mean? Like when I'm a grandpa, am I gonna be grinding, NBA showdown slates? Like fuck no, I'm not. So like part of this whole journey is setting something up either for the future or like if the content is just part of like you said, part of your formula, by all means. But like part of what I'm doing is like I don't want just the DFS play to be like my end game because of like literally this entire conversation that we're having here. Like there's gonna come a certain point, right? I don't have kids yet, so like we're gonna have kids, we're gonna have grandkids, we're gonna like we're gonna get older, we're gonna like we already want to like travel more, especially since we've just been sitting in our house for 2 years because of a pandemic. There's other things that are maybe not even in the formula now that will be. And it's like, do I really want to be grinding all these edges that I'm totally cool grinding most of them now, right? But like that's not going to be forever. So like there's other things that are a part of it, right? Why am I doing this spike week thing? Because this is part of a long-term plan, right? Why am I even doing DFS content? Because this is part of my formula, And so like it's so funny because people again kind of going back to like the fear, the whole fear thing, control thing, all of this, and like what we're thankful for. I am legitimately thankful for like being able to kind of discern. We talked about the formula, And it's not just what that formula is, but kind of the special, how do you make that formula work, right? We're solving for, like, how do you solve that formula? I have my goals for what I want to do with DFS, and they're different from Osimo's goals, and they're different from your goals, and they're different from, whatever. They're different from everybody's. But then, like, how do I get there, right? And being able to, that you and I have this conversation every Monday or Tuesday, every other Monday, let's call it every other
whenever you show up, yes.
Being able to have this conversation, because I'm not grinding or you're not grinding the afternoon soccer slate, right? Or because I don't give a shit about the NBA slate tonight, because I'm just like, nope, I'm out on that one. I don't care, right? Being able to figure out the variables to that formula for me is like, that's not something I've always been able to do. Frankly, I don't even know how long I've been able to do that. Like, I probably would have been like, I don't know how long ago I would have been like, yep, there's an NBA slate tonight, got to play it, right? Because I'm playing all the slates. I might take like weekends off or something like that, but like, I would be like, you would never catch me missing one of these. I don't know how long ago, a few years ago or something, but being able to get to this point where I'm like, what is it really that I'm, that I'm solving for? What is it really that I'm trying to achieve with all of this? And it's far more than just grinding each individual slate to a profit, right? Or like you said, yes, I want to make as much money as possible, but there's like, I'm only, I'm only going to live so many years. So there's other things that go into it than just making every cent that I can every single day.
To highlight this, you have a similar mentality that I do. Like, you started Spike Week, right?
Yep.
You sat down with RG, Better Collective. It's that you're into best ball. And it's quite possible 10 years from now, best ball just goes and no one cares about it. It's possible, right?
Yep.
You're taking a bet and you're saying, I want to build something. Then would I be correct if I were to ask you, would you rather? Okay, here's I'm trying to get the numbers right, so it makes it a little bit more perspective. If you had the option over the next 20 years, if we fast forward 20 years from now, and you were $20 million richer, so you have $20 million in your pocket, or had $5 million in your pocket, and SpikeWeek.com, you were known as the best. Like, you were literally on like ESPN Plus. You have your show on ESPN Plus, right? Because you're the Matthew Berry of best ball, right? Like, you have 3 million Twitter followers, and you're that guy. But in order to do that, you're not grinding out every edge. You're not playing all the contests, right?
Yeah.
Whatever like that. So you don't have 20 million in your pocket now. You have 5 million in your pocket, but you have this thing that you built over 20 years that you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
That you were able to control the entire time, and you nurture people in the beginning are like, you should never do this. This is never going to turn into anything, right? You did that. You have less money, or you could be anonymous, sit in front of your computer, only see your wife 2 hours a day, right? And have $20 million. Like, obviously, I'm framing this in a very easier way to choose, but to me, I'm the type of person that I don't need all the money. I'd much rather have the experience over 20 years of building something. Maybe building multiple things. You build something and a year later, like, oh, that sucked, that failed. Let me build something else. Right? Or you use the stuff that you build as stepping stones. Well, I built this thing. It got to a certain point. It failed, but it put me in touch with these 3 other people that are starting this 100%. Other project. And now you're jumping on board now you're just partners with them. That goes up. Well, you sell your shares. It turns out you shouldn't have sold your shares that early because it turned into a $200 million company. But you're not thinking of FOMO. You took that money and you started your own little thing. And now you built that thing for 5 years. On another, and it has nothing to do with DF. Maybe it's something completely different. You don't even know that you're interested in it now, but 7 years from now you will be, and you build something else. Like, to me, that's what I enjoy doing more than DF. It's more than DFS, more than playing poker, more than like that building something of value that is independent of the income that it gives, as long as it gives enough income that it solves that formula for you, right? If you were able to, if I told you you can't play DFS ever again, but you could build up something like Spike Week and make $150,000 a year doing that, like I'm thinking that maybe you choose to never play DFS again and just do that.
Yep. That's absolutely true. And there's even so much more to it, right? Like I don't even really particularly care, about like the personal following or whatever. That's like not part of my variable, but it's all the stuff that you mentioned, like about like I legitimately enjoy this, and not only do I legitimately enjoy, right? And it doesn't have to be like it's best ball for me, but it could be whatever for anybody else,
Right. I'm just using that Spike Week example for you. It could be me with the theory of daily fantasy. I don't know what this 100%. Turns into. This could turn into maybe I end up doing a sports betting course. Maybe this turns into there's some weird DFS hybrid game that comes out. Maybe a board game company says we want you to make a board, and then 20 years from now I'm known as the guy that makes all those cool sports board games. Like who knows? But but without doing any of creating the stuff, those possibilities don't open up, and I enjoy thinking in terms of, I don't know where I'm going to be from 5 years, but I know I'm going to be building something that I enjoy doing rather than sit anonymously in front of a spreadsheet. Because then you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a real job.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And it's funny because I don't think I ever like even quite had like the moment like you or like maybe even like necessarily said it out loud. Maybe not until again, fairly recently, but I was never like, oh, I don't want to have a real job. It was, I mean, I don't, let's get that out of the way. I do not. And that is absolutely part of my formula now, but it wasn't like, you kind of have always said like, that was an important thing to you. And I never really factored that in a ton, but it is absolutely like, anytime I do anything throughout my entire day, maybe aside from like a couple of minor things, because there's no job that is perfect and doesn't have kind of tedious work, but like doing anything for the Spike Week stuff, doing anything for Roto Grinders, doing this show, doing any other shows, right? Doing guests, going on other people's show. I never once feel like I'm working.
Right. I don't either.
It's not work. And then, so in turn, I get to enjoy my DFS play more. Like because like you said, it doesn't feel like a job. It just feels like this fun hobby while I'm like I'm just blessed enough to talk about sports and talk about gambling all day, And then in turn, I can build something that, like you said, yes, I could go radio silent and maybe scratch out some more money in the short term, but I would be sacrificing all of the positive things that we just talked about, and why like I don't feel like I'm having a job. I'm enjoying myself every single day. I have tons of freedom to do whatever it is that I want to do, and then I can use that to build something that is that like upside offset, right? That's the kicker, is like maybe this thing turns into nothing. Most things don't turn into anything, so it's more than likely that it doesn't. But my formula is already solved, right? Not working a real job, making plenty of money, enjoying myself, blah blah blah. But I also now have that, like you said, that 20 million versus that 5 million thing. You have this thing that you're building that is that potential upside thing, right? Everybody's into like the NFTs and crypto and all that stuff now, and I obviously invest in all that stuff too. But like that's what everybody's like. I'm gonna find the next Bored Ape, right? That's like a kind of a joke. It's like, who's got the next Bored Ape? We're the next CryptoPunk, right? Or we're looking for the next Ethereum or whatever. And it's like, I don't really want to like that. Doesn't sound like fun to me. That sounds like a job to me. And it is fun for other people. So that is solving their equation. I would rather just like do this, literally what we're doing right now, every day. Talk about the stuff that I want to talk about and enjoy it, while in turn growing something and building something that can turn into my upside winner, right? And if it doesn't, so what? I'm still, everything is going great for it couldn't possibly be going better, but you're able to get like the best of all worlds, right? I'm getting, I don't feel like I'm working. I feel like, more than enough, more than enough money to worry, like have zero worries and all that. And I actually get to enjoy myself while still having that like upside, right? And so like, not that everybody's equation again is the same as mine, but I do think that is what a lot of people are looking for. And going back to the very beginning of what we were talking about is like, think about all of that and how that fits right into like, oh, do I need to play this DFS slate or whatever? It's like the fear of missing that big win can be more than offset if you're solving for some other part of that equation. I mean, maybe it's like going out to dinner with your wife or like going on vacation or whatever.
Right, like to me, Eric, like what I've been playing DFS for 6 years, and I have a decently sized bankroll, and I built on it, and especially the past 2 years with COVID or whatever. But I remember in 2019, like this is before I was hired for Roto Grinders. Me and my wife booked a trip to Hawaii for 3 weeks. It was during NFL season. Do you think I thought like we booked it before I really was playing NFL DFS seriously even? So yeah, it kind of sucked that I missed out on 3 weeks of NFL play. But I also got to go to fucking Hawaii. I mean, why? Like, I was still on Twitter from and still like making fun of people or whatever because I enjoy doing that, regardless if I can't play. But the same thing happened to me, like during COVID. I used to be huge into wrestling when I was younger. So in the mid '90s, early 2000s, like the good period of wrestling.
I was pretty into it too back in the day.
But I went to independent shows. I went to ECW events. I went to some early Ring of Honor events. Like I was a wrestling nerd, right? Like that. And then that nerddom turned more into poker, right? Because I was like, what's the upside of me watching wrestling?
Right.
Nothing. I mean, but that obviously when you're 15, 16, 18, 19, 22, like that's the version of sports, right? That's your entertainment.
Yep.
But now you're getting it to the point of like, well, now I need a job. Now I need to make money. Now I need to like do stuff like that. So like some of the sports stuff, like I started not following sports much anymore, right? Because I was doing some web development, then playing poker, doing stand-up comedy, and I still need to find a way to pay the bills, right? So there's something has to. I can't just sit and watch a game, whatever. Like I can't spend all that time nerding out over something. Well, now DFS, I'm thankful for, has given me the time for me to nerd out about something. And nerd out about something about use something like, it's weird to say, I'm using wrestling like most people use sports.
Yeah,
sports. The most when people try to learn DFS, they go, you know what DFS? If you play it well, you're going to start to hate like actually watching sports because it's not entertaining anymore because it's just pieces of a game that you're just watching go around. You go, what's the point of even like? What's your favorite team? I don't have any favorite team. What's your favorite play? It's just my lineups that night, and that's about it. It's like, well, now you can't enjoy sports anymore. So now I'm approaching wrestling the same way of like, I have no intention of having a wrestling podcast. I'm no intention of I'm literally just watching as a fan. I subscribe to some YouTube channels. I'll turn on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, and you know what I do? Maybe I don't play the NBA DFS that night because I want to watch 8 to 10 o'clock, and I want to watch the Young Bucks flip around in the ring and whatever. Because I got back into after 15 years. I'm like what? I got back into wrestling, and I used to go to shows. Back in the old, I went to some Raws, I went to Nitro, I went to ECW show, I went to all those. So I enjoyed that. Back then I didn't have that much money, so it's not like I could ever go to WrestleMania. I got money now, so I go to my wife. You want to just? It's in Dallas. It's in Dallas. There's a travel package. It includes SmackDown and Raw. I'm not even a big fan of the WWE product currently, but I've never been to WrestleMania. You know what I'm thankful for DFS? The fact that I could just we booked that we did my wife is now into wrestling also. I got her into wrestling, so she's watching stuff also. So it's like I'd love to go to WrestleMania, and then they got this package and the hotel and the all access thing. So I dropped $5,000 on that for both of us to like, dude, Like, who could do that? Like, I'm thankful to do it. Like, we're going to the Royal. I'm going to St. Louis. I'll be in St. Louis in January. Never been to a Royal Rumble. Fuck it. It's in St. Louis. We'll drive there. I saw Chris Jericho has a cruise. We're into more into AEW than to WWE, and I didn't even know that cruise existed. I saw it, and I'm like, oh, it's coming up. They do this once a year. It's all these wrestlers. It's basically a wrestling convention on a cruise with meet and greets, and they've wrestling on the ship, and bands play. That it's all the people you watch on TV. And I go to my wife, who has a flexible job also. She's a crisis counselor, so her schedule, she could say I have this week off and whatever. And I just said to her, I just looked, I said, here's this thing, and can we get? And her eyes lit. I'm like, okay, I'll book it. Like it's like that's gonna be like $4,000 or whatever. It's like, do these things turn into more money? No. Am I going to be able to play DFS during those time periods? No. But am I going to be 70 years old and go, well, I sat in front of a computer all day, and it's like what? Maybe you could just take 10 grand out of your bankroll and say, fuck it, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and like they're negative EV. Those activities are negative EV from a financial standpoint, but from a life standpoint, I view them as plus EV. Right? Isn't that the goal? Isn't that your entire goal, is to make your life plus EV by playing DFS? Right?
I feel like the space that we're in, everybody, the phrase EV, the letters EV get tossed around so much, and it is obviously always like pretty much in reference to the monetary aspect of things. But like you said, yes, the money thing is important. I will also want to make a lot of money. But like you said, isn't the real goal to make your life plus EV? Like, the money is a part of what makes your life plus EV. And if the money isn't helping improve the value of your life, then like maybe try a little less, a little less of that and a little more. It's so funny you brought up the like, you're gonna not like the sport, like not be a fan of sports anymore. And I used to love the NFL. Like, I legitimately like enjoyed watching. Now, part of it is the product is absolutely horrendous now. So I'm not blaming all of gambling on me disliking the NFL. The crazy thing, every Sunday, far and away, my favorite part of a Sunday is when there's a Formula One race in the mornings. I've gotten into the, Netflix came out with the Formula One series, and I was like hooked, like instantly hooked. Like I legitimately like stand and watch the whole race. I love it, and I'm not a racing fan. I fucking hate NASCAR. Never been something that I was interested in before. I don't even really know what it is, but I became like a super huge fan. That like hour and a half, I'm not shitting you. Like, I do a show on Sunday mornings. I obviously play a lot of money in DFS volume. I watch all the games. I don't enjoy that part of my day as much as, like you said, nerding out and being I don't bet on the races. I don't even I don't even have like necessarily like a team or whatever, but like I just legitimately enjoy it. And the funny thing, another like funny thing that you happen to bring up, I got my wife to watch the Netflix documentary because I was like, I promise she'll like this. I promise she'll like this. She got it. She's as much of a fan. Sometimes she'll be like upstairs watching the race while I'm downstairs in the basement watching the race, and she'll be yelling, cussing at the TV because if anybody watches Formula One, she hates Max Verstappen, which everybody probably fucking hates Max Verstappen. Like, she hates him with an absolute burning passion. So she'll be screaming at the TV, about like something that Max is doing or whatever. But like it's something that we legitimately enjoy together that I never ever would have thought that I would have enjoyed before, or definitely that she would have enjoyed. But it's like, that's the thing now that like I'm a legitimate fan of. Exact same thing as you. Where there's only there's only one U.S. race right now, but there's going to be another next year, and we're like, how do we go? What do we got to do? And the same thing, it's not going to be cheap, but guess what? We're blessed enough with this DFS thing to like, do you want to go to Miami and go to this race? Let's just go do it. Like, one of my, Monaco is their big, like, most famous race. That's like a thing in my life that I'm like, I'm doing that. I don't give a shit. Like, is that making me any more money? No. In fact, it's going to cost me a whole shitload of money to go do it. But like, it's a life EV thing, that I want to do that. And I've been able to like find this thing that makes me happy, somehow, some sick, twisted way makes my wife happy. Although there's a couple really good looking guys. Lewis Hamilton is an attractive fella. So I think that she's low key, like she just like, likes to look at the guys. But like, it's something that, again, like you said, the life EV, that like, that's now the thing that I can like nerd out about and like just be a fan of, because I am not just a fan of NFL. I'm sweating every fucking shitty, Jamison Crowder catch, like Michael, oh, please check it down to Michael Carter, like I don't want to be, that's not really very, very much fun for me. I'm not going to be happy about that when I'm older. And so, yeah, it's come full circle to the thankful thing, but like, that is 100% what I'm thankful for, to be able to like maximize my life EV. And I feel like this week though that's obviously the Thanksgiving thing, but like there's so much sports going on that like, dude, you don't have to play every slate, and you don't have to play all the showdowns on Thursday. In fact, if you're playing the first showdown, the Andy Dalton versus what's his name, Tim Boyle showdown, like I think you probably need to work on your life EV. But yeah, I think this week is actually a pretty fitting time, even more so than just Thanksgiving, for this kind of conversation. And yeah, cheesy, but I am thankful for it.
And I'm thankful for you to show up for an episode of the podcast. You could follow Erik, as always, at Erik Beimfohr, me at Blender HD. Short episode, but maybe people are thankful it's a short episode, right? I had Josh on for almost 3 hours last week. So maybe people look at the time code and go, thank God it's a short episode. So we'll see you back next week after Thanksgiving. Thank you for listening. And I would also thank you if you purchased The Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass at theoryofdfs.com.